I'm psyched to teach these lessons to you. I'm ready to get started now on isometric sketching and drawing. And we are being recorded today so that other people can benefit from these videos later. And I'm going to start by telling you a story. So when I was in first grade, I moved from this town called Delran, New Jersey, way down south. I moved from there to a new town, to Cinnaminson. In fact, it's where I live now. Cinnaminson stands for Sweetwater. And I was really nervous when I first got there. I didn't really know anybody. So when I got into the first grade classroom, I was looking at different students to see who maybe I'd want to sit next to. Well, there was a boy sitting there, and in front of his desk in the cubby, you know the cubby inside when you're in elementary school? He's got white Elmer's glue and a bunch of pencil sharpeners and crayons, all different colored crayons. And he's putting the crayons into the pencil sharpener and just shaving them down into nothing and having all these different colored flakes laying around from all the crayons. And I said, "What are you doing there?" He said, "Well, my name's Mike, and I'm making a rainbow colored crayon. I invented it." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, watch." He pours out the liquid Elmer's glue, and then we wait about 45 minutes, and it starts to harden. And then he rolls it around in a ball in all the crayon shavings, and they all stick to the outside, and he makes his own multicolored crayon. Pretty cool. You can be any age to invent. But I just thought Mike was the coolest. So I sat next to him, and it wasn't long before he was teaching me new things every single day. One day I came into the class, I sat down, and Mike was in the middle of drawing a picture. And it looked pretty simple. Your run-of-the-mill square. And then he kept going. He went halfway in between here and halfway in between here. And he made an identical square that was just offset by 45 degrees. And then what Mike did next changed my life forever. He connected the corners, and my head almost blew off. I was like, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that, Mike?" He said, "My sister's been showing me." She was in fourth grade, so she was like a lot older. And he said, "Yeah, you could do this with any shape. You could put a triangle here and then draw another triangle up off of it and connect the pieces." And we were playing around with that for a while. And then that's when I realized that even if I didn't know how to do it myself, somebody could teach me the rules for how to do a certain type of drawing, and then that's how I would get better at it. But I have met people in the past that didn't have to have anybody teach them anything. I've seen kids who are just really great at sketching and drawing right off the bat. And as we get into this lesson, there's something I need to mention. You stopped me if we mentioned it yesterday. Did we talk about the multiple intelligences? Did you ever hear of that before? Yeah, so intelligence isn't just, oh, you're smart or you're not smart. We actually have at least 7 different types of intelligences, and some of us exhibit a little bit higher of an awareness in some areas than others. For example, math class. Who's really great at math? Numbers, statistics, you love it. That is called logistical intelligence. Logistical intelligence. You're really good at speaking languages. You pick up languages really fast. You can read fast. Linguistic intelligence. And right about there, those two are the ones that are primarily worked on in most school settings. But there's 5 more. You can have a special intelligence that deals with science. These are people who like it when the dog licks their face. They don't mind playing in dirty pond water and digging in the ground for worms. Right? They don't mind experimenting, trying new things, walking around barefoot in the dirt. These people have naturalistic intelligence, meaning a higher awareness of the world around them and wanting to engage in it, like science. Then we have musical intelligence. I think we all are aware what that would stand for. Interpersonal intelligence. This is how well you're able to read and get along with other people, your interpersonal skills. Yeah. Another one, intrapersonal. Not inter, but intrapersonal. Intrapersonal is how well you're able to regulate your own well-being and emotions and feelings. Some people will get worked up about something, they'll get upset, and they'll start yelling and screaming before they realize they lost control. Other people might be able to tell when they're feeling upset, and before it gets too far, they'll, okay, I can relax, find my center. self-regulation, so intrapersonal. The last two I want to mention now, one of them has to do with sketching and drawing. And the other one has to do with your mind and your body. When I first got on a snowboard for the very first time, it was dangerous and I had a big accident. But I saw other people just getting on a snowboard, going down the mountain, no problem. And every single time I tried to get on the board, I would go 6 feet and then poof, flat on my face. That ever happen to anybody? Snowboarding? Yeah. And the same thing would happen with a skateboard. And the same thing would happen when I would try a new sport. I just couldn't pick up on it real fast. This intelligence that connects your mind to your body. Anybody know the word for it? Kinesthetic. Kinesthetic intelligence. Similar word. And the last one has to do with being able to draw in 3D and perceive your world in 3D. Let's try an exercise. Shut your eyes. I'd like you to picture a Coca-Cola can, red with the cursive letters on it, and have that can sit there in your mind and then make it start to turn real slowly. You can see the light shining off the can. Now as it's spinning, I'd like you to turn the can to the color blue. Maybe a light blue. Uh-oh, here comes a piece of broccoli upside down through the sky. It's landing on top of the Coke can. All right, I'm going to stop there. There's probably people in the room who were able to picture that whole thing in their mind very vividly. You could see everything I'm saying. And then there's other people who shut their eyes and you just see black. Right? So that doesn't mean that you are higher or lower in that intelligence, but it may mean that it's something that it's a skill you haven't worked on before. All of this is a long way to say that if you're not great at sketching and drawing right off the bat, it's okay. You might be really high in certain areas, and other areas you need more practice. But I want you to know that when it comes to these design process skills, many of them are things that you've never been challenged with before. And last part, this lesson you're going to do right now is something that college students do at the College of New Jersey if they want to become STEM educators or architects or designers or engineers. The same exact lesson. All right, we ready? I'm boring you. I'm going to erase this stuff up here. You're going to stay on your paper. You got an open spot on your big white paper there? Okay. There are 3D pictures. You've probably drawn them before. They're kind of like what Mike did. And if I had a baseline here, and I was going to draw that cube the old way, I might have a face here. And then the rest of the object disappears on a 45-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. That's half of that. These sides will go back on a 45, so would that one. And if we connect these across, we get this cube. But this cube, where this view is head-on and this one is disappearing to the side, that's not the type of 3D picture that an architect or a designer or an engineer would use. All right? So we're going to learn the right way to draw a cube in isometric perspective. Why don't you write that at the top of your paper today? Isometric. And in parentheses, 3D. So this is a three-dimensional perspective. Hopefully you can see the board up here. Here's an airplane drawn from a top view, a side view, and a front view. You might think of these as being called blueprints, right? But we're calling these orthographic sketches. You're going to learn this one later. Top, front, side view for an iPhone. Robot. But the type we're worried about is isometric. Isometric. There's that cube in isometric view. So let's see what makes isometric so special. Watch me do one of these first, and then you're going to have a chance to try them at your paper. I'm going to draw a baseline, or what some might call a horizon line. And what I'm going to do in this next picture is take one of these edges and bring it out right to the front. So it's the first thing in front of me on the cube. And then the side walls are going to disappear, both of them from each side. If you have trouble picturing that, it's okay. Just try to follow the same steps that I do up here. Baseline, you can just watch real quick. Perpendicular line. Perpendicular means it's at a 90-degree angle. How many people have heard that term before or know about these degrees and angles? Okay. A circle goes around 360 degrees all the way around. If you cut that in half, this will be 180 degrees. If we cut a half in half, what do we get? 90 degrees. What if we cut 90 in half?
45.
45. So this would be like a 45-degree angle here. We're actually going to come lower than that. Very important. It's a 30 degrees. All isometric views disappear at a 30-degree angle. So I'll bring this line down even lower. Whatever size I make this line, I'll make this one the same size, make this one the same size. Next, I need perpendicular lines right up the side here. Straight up and down, just like this one is. I'm sorry, parallel lines. Can you see the cube in there yet?
Yeah.
If you can, it's okay. At this point, you might start to see what could be an open, the beginnings of a Happy Meal. And you might be sitting there going, oh, I want to connect those corners so bad. Is anybody having that feeling, like you want to draw a line from there to there? Yeah, you could, but you'd end up not with a cube, but with a piece of cheese. And we're not trying to go for the piece of cheese. Let's try this again. Baseline, perpendicular line. How many degrees?
30.
Not 45, but 30. 30. What do these do?
Parallel.
Straight up and down. No pyramids. Don't bring them in like you're going to make a pyramid. Straight up and down. Straight up and down. Okay. Now is a part where I might take out my ruler. I got a big one up here so you can see. Because it's hard to keep that angle the same from here up to here. So I'm going to keep this on the board, keep that on that same angle. Bring that across, do the same thing here. Okay. Now I've got the same angle here, bring that back to there. And this angle across to here. When I first did this, it took me about 7 or 8 cubes till I got one right that looked very symmetrical all the way around. That one's not bad. 30-degree angles. Now what you're going to do is give this a shot at your desk, and I'm going to walk around and see how you're doing. And once you get done with the first cube, go to another cube, do another one, and then another one. Maybe even 5 or 6 little cubes on your paper, and see if you can keep working at it until you get a perfect cube.
You can never get a perfect cube though. It's kind of
You can follow along with me. I'll do another one right here next to it. Baseline, perpendicular line, 30-degree angle, 30-degree angle, straight up and down, straight up and down. Hey, check this out. Where this line stops right here, the other two lines will go up, will peak up higher. The same distance you go from here to the baseline, you would come up from the corner. Now, some of you may have some sketching and drawing experience already, and some of you might be really good at it. If you feel like the cube is like no big deal, easy, try a treasure chest.
No, it's too
Challenge yourself. If you're still working on the cube, excellent. Treasure chest, here we go.
No, I'm not ready.
Baseline,
Can you pick up my remote?
perpendicular line. You don't have to work on this if you don't want. 30, 30, straight up and down, 30, 30. Let's check this out. Ready? Here's how we do the lid on the box. I come into the middle of this line, put a dot. Come in the middle of this line, put a dot. Go straight up a little bit with some dotted lines. Watch this, ready? You don't have to, but here's how you'd get the hoop.
Wait. I'm not done yet.
I learned yesterday, most of you already have done that before. A cylinder would fit right inside this cube, like this,
I guess I'll do that.
round at the bottom,